Hello, my name is Marcus, and welcome to my channel. The other day, we went to go see Marvel Studios' The Thunderbolts, the brand new MCU movie that has hit the Pantheon. Tell you what, man, it's been quite a while since I've been this enthralled with an MCU movie. I did not have high hopes going into this. I'm going to be completely honest. Kind of threw me off guard on how sensational it was. And not even just simply from a Hollywood blockbuster cinematic experience of a sensation, more so of a make you think, exploring your emotions, connecting with the human mind, connecting with darkness, connecting with what these characters actually feel on an inside basis, especially the characters within the Marvel Cinematic Universe that have failed, that have gone through trauma, serious trauma, that have gone through an extreme amount of suffering. And the Thunderbolts is definitely a representation of understanding that even though they're superheroes and supervillains, they still have a human aspect to their characters. And I want to explore, not in just a review territory, but let's just go through a thesis of each individual character from the movie to see how they started out in such a depressive state and how they wound up on top of their mental capacity. So let's get started. Movie starts off with Yelena, even after accepting the details of the sacrifice of Natasha Romanoff, still dealing with the ramifications of that darkness of her sister's untimely sacrifice and passing. It's a beautiful representation of a depressive state. You're just going through the motions. You lost the most important person of your life. No, it is impossible to just snap back from a certain trauma like that, especially after realizing that she was a part of the 5-year snap of the Infinity War. So having that time essentially stolen from you and then coming back to life and finding out that the only reason that you were able to come back is because your sister sacrificed herself to save humanity is just, I can't even imagine that level of darkness and trying to find the understanding in it to move on with your life. So what does she do? She just buries herself in work. I have done that before myself, trying to deal with trauma. So with the realization of this internal darkness, Yolanda finds herself trying to get through to Valentine on giving her a more positive outlook on the missions that she is undertaking. It's just going through the motions and taking out target after target after target, which also leads her to just simply looking for a purpose of life, a validation of life, trying to find something that makes her life mean something. We've all been down this path road before. I've had dead-end jobs where, I just felt soulless. I feel like we go through these times of finding soulless endeavors throughout our 20s. And once we turn about 30, 35, we either pick it up and just move on to something else, or we just settle into old ways and just accept that life is just not going to be as fulfilling as what we thought it would be. Fortunately, I had a few life epiphanies that, turned me around to, realize that life is way more than just clocking in and doing 9 to 5 every day for the remainder of your life. If you're not living for yourself, I don't really think you're doing too much living then. I like that this realization is connected to her father as well. She's clearly, reaching out to her father to find validation for her life. But her father, the Red Guardian, is in his own midst of depression because he too lost his wife. He lost his first daughter, Natasha, and he has not been in contact with Yolanda for the past year because he feels like a failure in his own right. He was locked up for all those years, got out, and just has not been able to find any sort of a purpose at all whatsoever. And them together, due to the circumstances of Valentine wanting to take them up to tie up the loose ends, she finds the Thunderbolts, which leads us to Taskmaster. I want to go ahead and get her out of the way. Such an unfortunate kind of comical ending for the character. She was definitely never the most popular character in the Black Widow franchise, but I am happy that they just gave her a proper ending. Honestly, I don't think she should have survived the events of Black Widow, but she did. But they definitely rectified that situation with a quick an easy exit from the character Ghost. It was an epic fight scene between Ghost and Taskmaster and Yolanda and John Walker. Definitely showcasing their skills within the martial arts. Ghost showcasing her skills as the mutant that was experimented on. Very, very cool. But, Taskmaster was the one that just had to meet her demise because, she didn't really do a lot of talking in Black Widow. She didn't do any talking here either. So, if it was one character that was going to go, especially not showing up in any of the promotional imagery, after a while at all whatsoever, it would have to be her. I really enjoyed the deconstruction of the character John Walker as well. Him just acting as a rogue agent, just acting on whatever Valentine wanted him to do, whatever targets she needed him to take out, he just did without question. Him still trying to accept the fact that he is no longer Captain America, that title being stripped of him when he murdered a suspect out of cold blood after his best friend Lamar was taken out. But, I really like the character development from his failures on just becoming a decent member of society again. Even with his wife and child leaving him as well, he was still able to, once the Thunderbolts eventually gets formed, him being able to fight through his own personal darkness and just get through the turmoil of just the trials and tribulations of his own personal life and still try to come out on top. It was really a fantastic story to witness. Now, Ghost specifically, she didn't really add any emotional, depressive states to the movie, but definitely contribute some major story aspects to the movie. She was the executioner of the Taskmaster. She took care of that for us. I didn't hate the Taskmaster in the Black Widow, but I certainly wasn't that big of a fan, especially after experiencing Taskmaster in like Spider-Man, the PlayStation video game, and also some of the cartoons, comics, or whatnot. And this wasn't a very good reputation of that character. I think that's why they made the ultimate decision to take her out. And she also provided some really cool special effects. She was always a cool kind of anti-villain in the Ant-Man franchise. So seeing her get her due diligence and a final return to continue on with her story in the Marvel Cinematic Universe definitely put a smile on my face. Also helps that she is an absolute scrumptious woman to look at as well. So that's always cool. Hey. Bob, the Sentry, makes his debate in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And man, oh man, this is one of my favorite antagonists in quite some time. I can't even really call him an antagonist, man. He was just misled in a direction that was justified by his rough upbringing that caused an emotional state that is a product of his environment. He really is. But let's talk about the Sentry first. Very, very cool character. He is the epitome of the Superman of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Completely invulnerable, has the power of manipulation, product matter, can disintegrate matter into nothingness. It's just a very cool, very, very powerful character. His beatdown of the Thunderbolts once he made his transformation was one of the coolest ass kickings I think I've ever seen in the 20-year history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was super, super cool. Literally nobody could do anything with him. There was no taking him down from a physical standpoint. The only way anybody was going to take him down was from an internal mental standpoint for sure. So hopefully once they are able to get him on the side of the light and get him to fully utilize his powers for the side of good, he will be a very valued asset in the upcoming Avengers films, most likely. So now let's talk about Bob's dark side. So to be a candidate for the Sentry program, Bob went through a harsh life. He is a victim of domestic and parental abuse, as we saw in some of the flashbacks of his life. So it was already a very questionable decision to give him a super soldier serum with these notions intact. Definitely not the best decision from Val, but they needed suitable candidates that actually volunteered for the program. So that's how he got into this situation. depression, and it would become to find out that the other candidates actually passed away from their involvement with the protocol, and he was the only one to survive, and that's how he got his powers. So, but them not knowing that he was in such a dire mental stability state, he was already addicted to meth and heroin, and of course the serum kind of cured him of these ailments, but it did not cure him of his ailing depression, which manifested in a physical standpoint that was easily one of the most interesting MCU villains that I have ever witnessed. Once Sentry powers was pushed out of him, he felt the sense of urgency to kind of try to take over himself, which caused Valentine to activate a failsafe, which she thought took him out, and it turned him completely black, and it ended up being the full manifestation of his depression side coming out to the forefront, and he was able to create a literal physical manifestation of his depression void that literally would just suck people into the void where they could not escape. This was a brilliant idea on how to represent depression, how we feel it on the inside in real life. I definitely appreciated that this side of the Sentry, this side of Bob, ended up being the final antagonist for the picture. And it's also a really an intricate decision to showcase that people can't just get out of depression by themselves. They need help. Sometimes you need a little help to get out of that type of a mental state, depending on the severity of it. And the Thunderbolts were able to come together. Yelena, Bucky, the Red Guardian, John, and Ghost, they were all able to come together to help Bob get out of his depression state and accept what happened to him as a child and fight through that darkness and just get out of it together. It was a beautiful process to witness, and it was a beautiful spectacle that I am happy that I got to experience on screen at the theater. For 1000%, anybody that has ever dealt with a severity of depression or grief or suffering, anything of that magnitude, can relate to these feelings 100%. And definitely feel like, the Marvel Studios did a fantastic job representing the physical manifestation of depression, and it's something that should not be taken lightly. That is a mental illness that just needs curing. It needs help. It needs a focus on it that sometimes the person that's suffering from it can't handle by themselves. And they're showcasing on screen that sometimes we need a little help from loved ones to get through it is just represented really well. And I'm definitely thankful for Marvel Studios for doing that for us. It's really good, man. I've never seen anything like that on screen before, but leave it to a superhero movie to kind of showcase it. It's actually kind of crazy to put it into perspective like that. It's really cool. Val is definitely not the most memorable villain I've ever seen from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but she does a fantastic job of putting all of these anti-heroes together and forcing them to face the demons that has long plagued them. So we definitely have to thank her for that. Her on-screen chemistry with the new Avengers, it's really good, man. I definitely enjoyed her charm and charisma and her manipulation of some of these heroes to get what she wants. If it's definitely one thing that some of the best Marvel Cinematic Universe villains portray is the a skill of manipulation. So you definitely have to give her credit for that. So technically, we've already covered the climax of the movie. All of the Thunderbolts come together to save Bob, the Sentry, from himself and from the world. So a lot of people have been hating on the Marvel Cinematic Universe lately. It looks like this one has really starting to turn some heads back into a positive foray. So that is good, even though I really enjoyed Captain America New World Order. A lot of people did not. So it is cool to finally see a lot of people kind of turn back around and start to give this long-running franchise a chance once again. So let's go ahead, let's jump to the extra credit scene here. Through Val's intuition and quick thinking to avoid being apprehended by the Thunderbolts, they have been dubbed the New Avengers. So that is pretty cool. Of course, that is going to cause a lot of political controversy in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. A lot of people are not seeing them as Avengers at all. So very very curious to see where this storyline leads us, including Sam Wilson, Captain America himself. He is not feeling it. He is building his own Avengers team, so can't wait to see how those two clash together to see where we're at come the next Avengers film. We also get the Fantastic Four returning from space, so it kind of, in a way, ruins the climax of the Fantastic Four movie. You know, wherever they end up in space, most likely from the end of the Fantastic Four movie that's coming in the next couple of months here, they're going to end up right next to the new Avengers, or at least coming into Earth's atmosphere to our present timeline, because as we know, it has since been confirmed that the Fantastic Four that we're about to witness takes place in another timeline. So very cool to see. I'm very excited to see where it takes us. And as always, I am excited to see where the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going forward here. You know, this has been almost 20 years now, man. It's really, really cool that Marvel has been able to keep myself and a lot of other people's attention for so long. Before we end here, you got to appreciate that scene of Ulysses trying to get that woman to buy the Wheaties box of the Thunderbolts or the new Avengers. That definitely put a smile on my face and everybody in my theater's face. So, wonderful movie, man. Am I really just ready to say it's the best MCU movie ever since Endgame? Nah, people be forgetting Spider-Man No Way Home, Wakanda Forever, the Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So we're definitely, this new phase hasn't just been a cluster of stinkers. We've had some hits, you know, let's not get it twisted. But, you know, this is definitely pointing us in the right direction for sure. So, alrighty, that's going to wrap us up here, man. So if you enjoyed my take on the Thunderbolts, please hit that like button. I'd really appreciate that. If you want to see more content just like this, you know what you need to do. You need to hit that subscribe button. I cover every Marvel Cinematic Universe that comes out. I cover the majority of the DC Universe movies, the Disney movies, so on and so forth, blockbusters in general. We cover them here on Marjack 79. So if you're interested in the popular movies like that, just make sure you get that follow button going, man, so that you don't miss out. You can follow me at youtube.com/marjack79. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, my friends, also leave a comment too. Don't be afraid, man. If you got some thoughts or some concerns about the movie or about my thoughts about it, you know, go ahead and comment below. I'm ready to have a discussion if you are. Let's do it. So, okay. And as always, I will see y'all on the next one. I'll catch y'all later. Bye.